This episode of the NHL Show on Sports Addict Live brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. Until January the 4th, First Round has thousands of sports cards on sale up to 50% off. With the code Sports Addict, you get an additional 10% off. So if the card you want is 20% off, you get it for 30. If it's 30, you get it for 40, 50, 60% off. Or if there's no discount, then you get it for 10% off. All you have to do at checkout, enter the code Sports Addict. That is firstroundcollectibles.com, the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins.
Welcome, Sports Addict Live, the NHL Show. Happy Tuesday, Andre. You're back, bro. Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Doing great. I'm so glad to be back. I really missed it yesterday. Caught the ep. You guys were great as always, and I'm ready to talk some puck today.
Well, you picked a great day to come back because there's like 1,000 games on tonight. John, how you doing, bro?
Doing good, pretty good. And you mentioned 1,000 games on tonight, and all three of our teams are in action. So I'm looking forward to talking about that and watching you two debate about your game later.
Well, I'll tell you guys what. Yesterday, I wore my Eagles hat. I wore my Eagles jersey, and boy, is there egg on my face. I feel like a fool. So, Andre, love you, man, but I need my Leafs to pick me up tonight because I was telling this to my buddy. I wish that I just liked one sport or like one sport during the winter and then baseball in the summer, because like cheering for four sports is emotionally exhausting, and I just don't know. I don't know how much longer I can do it. So looking back on last night, five games on the ice. Not too much to take away, I found, but I'll start with you, Andre, since you did not get to share your wonderful voice yesterday. What was your takeaway from the action last night?
So from the action last night, I have to go to Marc and Andre Fleury, visiting Pittsburgh, his old stomping grounds for a very long time, for potentially the last time. I know he hasn't brought up any intention of retiring, but he's on the older side. He's not as effective as he used to. So the Minnesota Wild roll into town. You know, he's playing pranks on Chris Letang. The crowd's chanting his name. He doesn't see a single minute. No. Kind of disappointing. I understand that the Wild have been playing better, and he even acknowledged that and said he was fine with it. He also said he doesn't like playing as a visitor, or that was a rumor floating around. Not sure if I'm buying that one. But it's a bit disappointing to the fans that, you know, he didn't get one last hurrah in net, even if it says an opposing player. But life goes on. And then real quick, before we move on, I didn't get to share my weekend takes. So I just want to say, Rangers-Bruins round 2. First one was a shootout, 7-4 game. Second one, 2-1 in overtime. One of my best friends is a Bruins fan. We've been begging for it for years. I want a Rangers-Bruins conference finals so bad. So bad. That's all.
It would be awesome to get, like, no disrespect to the teams that made it last year, but like to have Vegas. I love me some Dallas, but what was it? Florida? Oh man, why am I blanking? Florida.
Wow. It was the Canes, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Canes made it. They knocked us out in the second round.
That's right. Yes. So it's like, I'm I'm sure that they have wonderful fan bases, but we need some original Knicks blood in there, man. Like Florida, Carolina, like there's no snow. It's like I don't know.
I
So how
think
much
most
snow do
people
you
in
think?
the Stanley Cup final was underwhelming last year.
How much
Yeah.
snow do you think those four cities get combined? Riley, Sunrise, Dallas, and Vegas. Do
I
you
feel like
stack up to an inch a year?
An inch, maybe.
doesn't Dallas get like random like freezing rain?
Dallas
Wow.
probably is the most susceptible of the four because they, like you said, they can.
More than Carolina, really?
Dallas weather's
They have
weird.
cold fronts once in a while. Like I've heard a story like the Texas pipelines froze just because it got like to 30 degrees one random day. I
Yeah,
just think the consequences of it are bigger in Texas.
Yeah, Texas has weird weather. I don't think Carolina gets much snow.
Interesting. Well, as a Canadian, I'm proving that I know nothing about south of like Pennsylvania. I can't, to me, like New York is super south. So, John, what's your takeaway from last night, man?
Now I know I'm talking to a Canadian, at least because
Amen.
New York being south. All right. My takeaway from last night also focuses on the Pittsburgh game. I'll do a half glass full thing here and shout out Sid, the no longer kid. Sidney Crosby is 36 years old, but man, he's still killing it. He's we talked about Ovechkin last week and his drought at the time anyway. I don't know if that's still going on or not, but
Oh, yeah.
that might be something else we have to talk about. But yeah, in terms of Crosby, he's kind of the exact opposite. I think he's having a much better season than maybe any of us anticipated. He has 33 points so far in 30 games this year, and he's flirting at least with the possibility of getting 100 points. And considering he's played almost 20 years in the NHL, I find it remarkable how good of a start he's having. And look, none of us are old guys or anything, so I can only speak for myself here. The big stars for me growing up in the NHL were Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, and to an extent, they're the legends, so to speak, among the skaters still playing. So I think for me, Sidney Crosby still being relevant is a big deal, and I'm very impressed with how he's done so far. He even had the game winner last night, so I'm going to keep my eye on him to see if he continues this for the Penguins this year.
Well, and to your point, like they went up 3-0 and they were begging to lose that game. Like all of a sudden 3-3, and like Crosby just basically won the game by himself at that point. And it's like he's gonna like potentially break 100 points this year if he keeps this up. It's like truly remarkable. Moving on. Oh, I guess my takeaway from last night. I picked so many wrong games last night. I just don't even want to talk about last night anymore. But Detroit, one of those teams that we thought would be a potential playoff team, and I still think so. Started the season playing really well. They've lost, I believe, 7 of the last 8. They have hit a really tough streak since adding Patrick Kane. Not the best. And I just kind of think, I mean, not to mention the whole goaltending issue they're having right now. Husso's out now. It's going to be tough. I think Hutchison's name was kind of floating around there, where if you're picking in the like Hutchison barrel, like that's slim pickings, no disrespect to him. But I think this is about what we're getting from them this year, feast or famine. Last night, John, you and I were like, without even blinking, we were Detroit -1.5. And I don't think we can give them that benefit of the doubt. Now, understandably, the Ducks had back-to-back. won the night before, but hadn't been playing that well for the last probably month and a half. So you would think that Detroit would kind of come out, Larkin's back, Comfort's back. But I just think that this Detroit team is going to be feast. It's going to be famine. It's nothing in between. I think they're either going to be killing it or not. And so that was really interesting. And the Ducks, like, they just came out gangbusters last night, and the Red Wings caught a bad bounce or a bad break rather, where they had a double minor power play, scored right as the first 2 minutes was expiring, which meant that the second 2 minutes was automatically negated. So what was supposed to be 4 minutes was really just 2 minutes. That's a tough break. But yeah, that's my takeaway from the Detroit game. And a complete kind of side note, I really like watching this Montreal team, guys. Like they're hard to play against. And I don't know, this team, I think they're only 2 points out of a playoff spot. And I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not, but maybe they're not a team that we can pick puck lines against just like willy-nilly either. Like maybe they're feistier than we thought.
Oh, they really are only 2 points behind. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, absolutely.
It's a pretty tight Eastern Conference in general right now. There's a lot of teams within like 3 points. I think there's only 3 teams within 5 points or more behind, with like Buffalo, Columbus, and Ottawa.
100%.
You know what's funny? Just 13 teams in the Eastern Conference have a points percentage over 50%, and only was it 9 in the Western Conference? So I just looked at it.
Wow.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah.
Western Conference top heavy, spreading the narrative.
John, what's your bad beat from last night, man?
Oh man. I'm trying not to bring any other sports into this. I had one really bad one I told you guys about in college football yesterday. I'm gonna try to keep this to hockey though, and keep that one in the vaults. So for hockey, I'll go back to the Pittsburgh game again. They seem to be a theme today. In yesterday's show, Mark and I were talking about that game, and I liked the chances of that game remaining under because I thought Pittsburgh's defensive play and goaltending was solid enough. And for about half the game, that was looking like a decent take because the Penguins were up 3-0 about in like the middle of the second period. Well, one bad period really ruined that whole play because after the Penguins took a 3-0 lead, they let the Wild score 3 unanswered goals during that whole second period. And the ironic thing is the Wild didn't even score another goal the rest of the game, but by then it was too late. So really one terrible second period by Pittsburgh really cost me that play. So the under 6 from yesterday is my bad beat.
What about you, Andre?
Well, I wouldn't say good thing you didn't pick the puck line either, because a 3-0 lead evaporating in 20 minutes. It's kind of tough. But
I mean, I think I picked the Wild to win that game. So we can go we can go double bad beat if you want to.
It's just not a game you want to talk about.
Really teased you yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna pick on Alberta again, specifically Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Coleman, I don't know if you remember last week, but Monday night, 5 shots on goal was the third time in 4 games that he had at least 4 shots. His shots on goal prop is usually 2.5. So Tuesday they're playing Vegas. I'm like, look for Blake Coleman, whatever. 0 shots. Thursday, 3 shots. Saturday, 3 shots. So you know what? Blake Coleman's looking kind of good again. Maybe that was just a fluke. Nah, last night, 0 shots on goal in a 3-1 win. But he scored a goal. No shots on goal, but he's credited with a goal. What are you doing, Blake Coleman? Stop messing with me.
It's killing you. It's killing you. That is actually to not hit the overshots, but to have the anytime goal hit. That's awful. That's an awful beat.
How does it even hockey?
Yeah, that's awful. So, John, I appreciate you working towards the integrity of our show, talking about hockey. But you know what, man? I'm just going to come right out and say it, okay? I picked everything wrong yesterday. Everything. I'm being honest. We are here with honesty, vulnerability. So I'm not even going to talk about hockey last night because they were all bad beats. So it's fine. What I am going to talk about, and I have to get this off my chest, and my therapist is like $200 an hour. So you guys are much cheaper. This is the deal. Fantasy football, right? I'm 13 points back. The guy that I'm playing has 0 players playing last night. I have Hurts, I have Goddard, and I have Reddick. All right. We have defensive players on our fantasy. However, Sunday morning, it comes out that Hurts is questionable to play. And I'm like, man, I don't want to not have a quarterback tomorrow. And I'm looking through, and Drew Lock is locked up by a different team or whatever. I get caught up in this stupid thing, the DeVito. I get caught up in it. Your guys' team, and I freaking claim him off waivers, and I sit Hurts. And what happens? Hurts plays last night. DeVito gets 6 points, and I am out of my fantasy league, all because I got caught up in that. I think it's his agent, the guy with the fedora and the chains, and I think
Sean
that
Mobster agents.
What's his name?
John Stellato. He's a Hall of Famer.
Of course, that's his name. It sounds like it would be his name. It just the most. So listen, that's my bad beat. And it is. It's awful. I'm embarrassed. I probably shouldn't even talk about that in public, but that's okay. Here we go. All right. Did I miss?
Nope. Didn't miss a thing.
Nope. So while we work through that,
He must have really been upset about that Eagles game. Ooh.
Yeah, for real. I think Mark needed a minute or two to console himself there.
I'm going to pretend
to breathe about that fantasy football loss.
Yeah. I'm going to pretend that I know what happened. It's all under control. No big deal. All right. Did I miss anything? I think we're ready to go, right? We're ready to get into the
let's do it.
Evening slate.
Yeah. Let's lock it in.
Minnesota Fleury is playing tonight. Which, by the way, would you rather him play a Pittsburgh team or a Boston team? I would probably lean Pittsburgh. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably.
I don't really know what's going on. I guess they thought they had a better chance of winning yesterday, so they started Gustafson, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. So Minnesota's in Boston. Boston minus 205. I messed up that line on there, but Boston minus 205 favorites. Minnesota plus 170. Boston Bruins minus 1.5 is plus 130. That's where the plus 130. So I wasn't totally off. The Wild plus 1.5 is minus 155. The over-under is 5.5, minus 120 for the over, plus 100 for the under. John, what are you seeing in this game?
Mark, ironically, the two lines you did write in the graphic are the two most tempting plays here anyway, with the Wild money line and the Bruins puck line. Given what I saw from the Wild last night, I was buying into what Mark was saying about them yesterday, about the potential of winning that game.
It's my fault that you didn't pick Pittsburgh. It 100% is.
It's all good, man. The point I'm trying to make is I think the Wild let me down yesterday, and the Bruins have shown a lot of trust this year. I mean, yeah, it is a random game or two this year they've blown that came out of nowhere. I remember one in particular, the Bruins blew in the third period against the Ducks back in November. That's really the only time I could sit here and like have 1,000-yard stare at the Bruins and be like, "What are you doing?" My point being, I trust the Bruins a lot more than the Wild, especially the Wild are coming off the back-to-back. They just haven't been a very consistent team this year, and now you're asking the Wild to step up in class in the middle of a road trip. The Bruins are also a much, much better goaltending team. I mean, we're talking about the team that's fourth in goals allowed per game with Boston and Minnesota. I think they're like middle of the pack, maybe slightly below average there. Point being, I think the Bruins puck line is worth some consideration here.
What about you, Andre?
I wholeheartedly agree. Outside of the fact, I think I say this every time after the Bruins lose, they don't lose consecutive games, and they just lost. So staying at home, they got a couple of days off against the Minnesota team that was in Western Pennsylvania yesterday, has a backup goalie in net. This has all the makings of a Bruins win already. Then you factor in special teams where there's a huge gap. It's the 8th best power play against the 29th best PK. Best PK against the 23rd best power play. I just don't see any way Boston doesn't win this one like 3-1, 4-1, something like that.
Yeah, I 100% agree as well. More with what the last thing that you said was I actually really like the under here at plus 100, under 5.5. I do think Fleury isn't the Fleury that we know from like the mid 2010s, but he's still a good goalie. He has his moments. And I think last night, I think that he took that personally, and I think he's going to ball out tonight. I don't know. Maybe that's just the kind of like side note, doesn't matter. But like he wanted to play. Gustafsson said last night, he's like, yeah, that was really weird for me. Like, I don't know why I'm in net, but the coach wanted me in net, so I'm here. The crowd's chanting Fleury's name. I think he's going to be jacked up. And we all know Boston's goaltending situation. Plus 100, under 5.5. I actually really like that. I do like Boston minus 1.5 as well, but I do think my favorite play on the game itself is plus 100 at under 5.5. The other prop I believe both you guys mentioned is the power play. You got the 31st worst or 31st penalty kill from the Wild, 8th best power play for Boston. Pasternak over a power play point is plus 110. Marchand has 13 power play points, plus 145. And JVR, he only has 9 power play points, but plus 325. I don't know. Pick who you want to pick. I think that power play points for Boston's side, you can pick anyone, and I would support it wholeheartedly. All right, John, you're up, homie.
Oh boy.
Philadelphia is in New Jersey. New Jersey minus 162 on the money line. Philadelphia plus 136. Puck line minus 1.5 is plus 154. Plus 1.5 for Philadelphia is minus 185. The over is 6.5. Plus 105 for the over. Minus 125 for the under. John, why are the Devils winning tonight?
The Devils need to bounce back, first of all. We talked about this on yesterday's show, and I think you were spot on with the analysis you said about the Devils. It was a very concerning loss, not really because we lost the game to a surprising team, more about how we lost. We got the Devils lost 5-1 in that game, and the fact that they only scored 1 goal against a team like the Ducks, it definitely raises a bit of a red flag. And I think it's a game the Devils are noting in the locker room, which is why I think the Devils are going to respond tonight. I don't see them having another low scoring game like that. With that said, I think this money line is too high to back the Devils. They're my team, so I try to keep it real as best I can, without showing too much bias. With this said, this is a good Flyers team. This is not a pushover. The Flyers are top 6 in goals against. The Devils are near the bottom of the league. It's given how many close games the Devils are in this season and how much inconsistency they've had behind at nets. I find it very hard to really trust the puck line here too. With that said, I think my favorite play is the over. Like I said, I believe the Devils are going to bounce back tonight and score more goals than they did on Sunday. And they'll probably give up a few too, knowing them. So with the over 6.5, I think that's the best bet in this game.
Yeah, I like the over as well. I'll be honest with you though, John, no disrespect. I just think Philadelphia is playing better hockey right now. I trust Philadelphia more. I think plus 136 is terrific value. And I just trust Philly more. The one thing I kind of like better, and if you're betting the over, then this makes sense as well. Flyers have scored 4 or more goals in 4 of their last 7 games, and over 3.5 is plus 195. So over Philadelphia goals 3.5. The reason why I like that is 28th in the league goals against for New Jersey, right? And I just think even if like the Devils can win this game 5-4, like we all know that. So the Devils could win this game, but I like Philadelphia scoring tonight, and I trust it. On the New Jersey side, though, they have the first rank power play. Understood Philadelphia's penalty kill is very good. Hughes, 16 power play points, plus 160 for him tonight. Bratt, 17 power play points, plus 180. So I don't mind those props. But I really like Philadelphia over 3.5. What say you, Andre?
You know, I'm really torn. I came into this leaning Philly. They play better on the road. They have a really strong PK. They're 4th in that department. John Tortorella's a notorious Devils hater. There's just so many things where I was like, I really think this Philly team can neutralize the Devils' offense. And then scoring on Jersey isn't the most difficult task in the world. I mean, the Ducks just did it 5 times. But then neither team's lost multiple games in December. I know it's only like an 8-game sample, but both teams are playing well. The Devils won the first meeting in Philly 4-3. They just scored 1 goal against Anaheim. I can't see this Devils team having an offensive dud 2 nights in a row. I just really can't. So, again, I'm minus 1.5. I don't trust them with. I think that money line's a little too steep. I would take a little risk on the 60-minute line for the Devils. I think it's a minus 110 right now. And lean slightly towards the over just because I think they're going to have a good offensive night. But this is a tough one. It's a really tough one. I'm leaning Jersey, though. If I had to put my money on it, I would lean Jersey.
Even with my team, even with this being my team, I do agree with you about this game betting wise. There really is no obvious play here. Like there's nothing on the Devils side I love, and I feel like the Devils are capable of scoring enough to win this game outright. So I think that's why I'm personally leaning over in this game. I do like Mark's team play though with the Flyers. I could definitely see them getting 4 in this game.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good game. I'm going to have that game on my laptop while on the big screen. I got the Rangers coming in town, baby. Let's go.
Can't keep eating like this.
Just a 45-minute drive down the Highway 400 at Scotiabank Arena. The New York Rangers at the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto -102. Rangers -118. I was telling you guys before during pre-show, I checked these odds this morning and the Rangers were +100. And then I sit down, I'm going over the lines, and now boom. I think it's because Jones is most likely playing in net for the Leafs tonight. And also, you said this, Andre, before the show, that it's just people probably like just hammering the Rangers on this. You go first, bro. You go first.
Gonna let me go first.
Yeah, I got to.
Well, when you said 45-minute drive, I thought you were talking about from Newark to the Garden when there's traffic. It's
I got confused there for a second.
Most brutal 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever it is in the world. But this is another tough one for me. The Maple Leafs obviously won last Tuesday, 7-3 in the Garden. They scored 5 goals on Thursday, even though they lost. They scored 7 goals on Saturday. The offense is on fire. They're good for 3 goals a night. I think they've hit that every game this month and in their last game in November. So you're right there. Even Shesterkin's in net, Quick's in net, doesn't matter. You're looking at the Leafs 3 goals, 4 goals, whatever. Which is why I think the over is the best play because Toronto has a lot of defensive and goaltending issues still. The Rangers can also score with the best of them, especially on the power play. When their power play is going, it's unstoppable. And Adam Fox is healthy right now. The Toronto PK is middle of the pack. So I think this is definitely a game where you see 7 goals at least. As far as a side, I'm going to lean Rangers. Obviously, one, I'm a fan too. I think just Rangers goaltending is more trustworthy. And that might be part of the reason why the line shifted in the first place. But you can't, if you like Toronto, you can't go wrong with Toronto. They're playing very well, especially offensively, and they can score enough to offset that problem. So I'm leaning Rangers and over, but I understand why someone would take Toronto.
Yeah, I love the over too. Talking about the Leafs, they've hit their games have hit the over 7 of the last 8, and the 8 that it didn't hit the over, it got to 4. So it was like not like it was like 2 or 3 or whatever. I don't like picking a side in this game, to be honest with you, and I think the reason why is denial. I think tough spot for the Leafs. They had a crazy game against Columbus on Thursday night, like just stupid crazy game. Kyle Dubas comes back to Toronto, which I know it's super weird, like a general manager coming back, but believe me, in Toronto, like that was a massive, massive story. And the Leafs blew the doors off the Penguins. Like it wasn't even close from the jump. And it's a Tuesday night, middle of the week, Scotiabank Arena. It's going to be a little quiet till about 7 minutes left in the first period, and then the people will start coming in. I have a hard time picking the Leafs in this game, to be honest with you. I do really like the over, though. I think that is absolutely the play. In the 3 games, however, was doing some deep diving, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers only lost 3 games in November. They've already lost 3 games in December, and 17 goals allowed in those 3 losses. So that kind of solidifies the over for me. You were talking about the Leafs penalty kill. Zibanejad, 14 power play points on the year, plus 120. Kreider, 10 power play points on the year, plus 185. On the Maple Leaf side, Riley 17 assists plus 130 for an assist. Tavares 20 assists plus 135. Nyes and Yarncroc both 7 goals. Nyes plus 300. Yarncroc plus 330. So a little off the board. Anytime goals. I like those two guys. John, what do you see in this game, man?
Very tough game to call. Like
Be the voice of reason, bro. We're too biased over
Yeah.
here.
I think I'm gonna have to pick a side on this game just to be a tiebreaker. Otherwise, I may have backed out. But I gotta say, I think this morning when we were originally doing prep for this show, I was leaning Toronto. I really like the way they're playing right now. They have 19 goals in their last 3 games alone. In the last 8 games, they've scored 3 or more goals in each of those games. So Toronto's definitely the more trendy pick, I would say, in my opinion. But I have to say, I think I'm doing a last-minute switch. I'm going with the Rangers and the under here. I think the odds are notable here with the fact that the Rangers flipped to a favorite, but also I think I'm factoring in that these two teams just played last week. I feel like the Rangers are going to want some revenge here. They gave up 7 goals against Toronto last time they played. That's just unlike the Rangers. They're one of the better goaltending teams in the league, top 6 in goals allowed per game. I just can't see the Rangers giving up that many goals again. I really can't. And also, I think Toronto's been on fire with the amount of goals they've scored, and it's very difficult to keep that up. I just feel like this is a grinded out game where it's going to be tight and it's going to be a war out there tonight in Toronto. So I'm leaning towards under 6.5 and a Rangers, say, 3-2 win.
If that under hits, you're a genius. And if it doesn't, it's like, what were you thinking?
Oh yeah, I
That's
know.
the two extremes on that one.
I'm going out on a limb on that one.
Well, Andre, keep that WhatsApp open, bro. It's gonna be a busy night in the old chat.
Isn't it always?
Isn't it always?
Tonight's definitely got some extra stakes.
Here's a line maybe you guys can explain to me. I know they're on the road across the country, but Vegas is in Carolina. Carolina is minus 130. Golden Knights plus 110. The puck line for Carolina plus 185, plus 1.5 for Vegas minus 225. The over is 6 at minus 18. 118 rather, and the under is minus 102. I'll just start off this one. I don't fully understand why Carolina is favored. I know that they're at home. I know that Vegas, like I said, traveled across the country. But if we're talking about the quality of these two teams right now, it's not even close. Like Carolina won a couple games, but now they're back to losing a couple games. I think Vegas is by far and away the most consistent team. I was looking through the stats, and Carolina is literally the most average team in the whole league. Goals per game, 14th. Goals against, 17th. Power play, 14th. Penalty kill, 14th. They're just there. Like, they're just in the middle. I like Aho for a goal tonight, plus 155. He has 12 goals on the year, 4 goals in the last 5 games. I like that for Carolina. But other than that, man, I don't know. This just seems way too obvious to me, which normally can be like kind of concerning. The other prop, Eichel has 135 shots on the year, plus 110 for over 3.5. So I like that prop. John, what do you see in this game, man? Is this just obvious, or are we on to something here, or am I completely wrong?
I think I'm just someone that reads too much in the lines, and like whenever I see a red flag like this, I always view it as like they're begging you to take the the, the side that seems obvious. In this case, being Vegas. Vegas positive money is really tough to turn down, but I think in this case, I'm going to turn it down. I don't love Carolina here, but the sports books are telling me one thing, so I'm steering the opposite way. I I think it's very telling that Carolina's a favorite in this game. And I talked about this yesterday as my takeaway from the weekend that Carolina had two disappointing losses Friday and Saturday, I think, against Nashville and Washington. And I don't know, like they found ways to lose this weekend. And you're sitting here and telling me they're a favorite against pretty much the best team in the league right now. Something just doesn't seem right about that unless Carolina's legit going to win this game. So I think I have no choice but to back Carolina here, reluctantly.
As Andre said last week, it's a trap, John. They're trying to make you take Carolina to make you think that they want you to think that they think that you think. Andre, what do you think, bro?
Mine, you know what?
I'm so glad John took the trap because I was gonna take it.
Really, eh? Maybe
I was gonna
here. Maybe
I was gonna take Carolina against every instinct. I was like, what do they know? Is it because Auntie Ronta's gone? Is that a addition by subtraction type deal?
Yeah, maybe.
But John did it, so I don't have to. Vegas plus 110. Are you kidding me? It's beautiful. Give it to me.
100%, man.
I don't need
really
to
going out
explain
on
it
a limb
anymore.
today.
I
was
love
like,
it.
This is so weird. I've been looking at this. I saw this for the first time this morning. I was like, that's so weird. And I just
Weirdest line
every
of the
time I
night.
come back to it, it's not changing.
It hasn't changed all day.
I'm like,
Yep.
what do you know? I'm taking Vegas though. That's what I know.
What do you know? What do you tell me? Yeah, so I'll take Vegas parlay with the Leafs. You take Vegas parlay with the Rangers, and may the best man win.
Now we're talking.
Another line that I don't fully understand. I can kind of see it, but St. Louis, aka the dead cat bounces. By the way, I've heard that saying every single day, multiple times since you told me it last week. Yeah, dude. Like listening to the radio, I'm hearing everybody say it. Like Brian Burke is saying it. All these guys are saying it. I think they're paying attention, and I think they stole it from you because I
Thanks
never
for
heard
watching.
it. Yeah, thank you, Brian Burke. Appreciate it. Good to have you on. Good to have you here. St. Louis is in Tampa Bay plus 145 underdogs. Tampa Bay minus 175. Minus 1.5 on the puck line is plus 140. Plus 1.5 is minus 166. The over is 6.5, minus 118. And the under is minus 102. Andre, what do you see here? I think I don't know why Tampa's favored by this much. Like, do you?
I understand why. It's because the Blues still for the season have awful numbers and their power play is the worst in the league. Mm-hmm. So even though they've scored 4 goals 3 games in a row, their season track record long term doesn't support them on the road being anywhere near Tampa, even with Tampa's struggles as well. But I'm going to hold myself accountable here. I said on the infamous dead cat bounce explanation and episode that the Blues were going to win 3 in a row. And this is about to be game number 3. They've already won 2. So I have to take the Blues money line. I'm trapped into that one. And I'm going to take the over because they've scored 4 goals the past 3 games. Mm-hmm. Both games since their coach got fired. And Tampa's goaltending situation has been ugly all season. Not necessarily goaltending now, but the defense, they're 29th in goals against per game, giving up 3.56. They've allowed 4 goals in 3 straight. They allowed 8 goals in 2 games before that. I know that was all on the road. They're back at home, but fade the defense, fade the goaltending. Give me the Blues. Give me 7 goals at least.
John, what say you, bro?
Before I go into this, I'd like to make a note for Andre. I think him and the Blues need to get a copyright deal for this dead cat bounce thing. For this dead cat, have both of us profit off it. Well, both Andre
T-shirt?
and the team.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that'd
can
be
put that in the pipeline.
that would be a weird like T-shirt, like a dead cat like bounce. It would be a weird looking.
But then it could be like the music. It could be like a music staff, and the notes like all the way down here. I don't know.
Right.
Andre's already thinking. He's thought about this. I could tell.
Like the cartoon bounce, like the boom boom.
Yeah,
Like, John, what do you think, man? You
Uh,
can't give away these ideas for free, man. We're geniuses.
That-
John,
that's true. I
What
could
do you
laugh
got?
all day
do
about
you got?
this. Back to the game. I agree with Andre. I usually like to find one positive money line team to take per day, as well, as long as there's a decent amount of games. There has to be at least one every night, right? That wins. And like Andre, I still feel like the Blues are in the positive side of this dead cat bounce trend. They've won the last 2 games ever since they got their new coach, and quite frankly, I think they're good value here at plus 145. Andre touched on this as well, that Tampa Bay is a horrible goaltending team. I mean, they're bottom 4 in the league in that category. So I think this is the right team for St. Louis to face in that situation. I still think they have a little bit of positive momentum left from this new head coach hire, and I'm willing to keep pushing it until they lose. Give me the Blues plus 145 here.
Yeah, I lean Blues as well. My most confident bet for this game, we talked about this yesterday, John, with the whole Jordan Kyrou thing. Ever since that whole emotional like situation he went through with the fan base last weekend, he's been firing away, and over 3.5 shots is plus 105. He has 102 shots on the season. I'm super confident with that play. I'm a little bit hesitant to take the money line only because, like, I mean, you said it, Andre, like 3-game winning streak. It's like maybe it's a 2-game, like maybe, but I actually watched that game on the weekend, and I know that they let Dallas come back in and then overtime, but St. Louis, they just look like we'll keep going back to the well. They do have a like bounce in their step. Like they just look better. They look faster. And I also saw over 3.5 goals for St. Louis is plus 180, similar to the Philadelphia game, where it's like if you don't necessarily want to bet the team to win, but you think that they'll score, the over 3.5 goals for St. Louis is plus 180. Also, Jordan Kyrou, to stick with that, they played Tampa Bay earlier this year, and he got 2 goals in that game. So for him to score tonight is plus 200. The only thing on the Tampa Bay side that I really, really like is their power play is second in the league, where St. Louis has the 19th ranked penalty kill. Point has 13 power play points plus 170, and Hedman has 12 power play points plus 230. So I think if the over is going to hit, I think Tampa Bay scores some power play goals here tonight. Moving on, I know we want to promote the NHL, but probably the least interesting game of this night. Columbus is in Buffalo. Buffalo -1. Do we even want to talk about this game? The line actually changed since I wrote this down. Buffalo's now -192.
Oh, wow.
And Columbus is plus 160, which is music to my ears because I'm taking Columbus all day. I just like spoiler alert. They're plus 160 in this game. Buffalo minus 1.5 is plus 130, which to me is wild. Like if it's like minus 1.5 for Buffalo should be like plus 500. Like I don't really see that. Plus 1.5 for Columbus is minus 155. The over the over is 6.5, minus 135 for the over, which is hilarious. Need I say more? I like Columbus here. I'll be real about it. I consider myself a pretty wise hockey guy. I have a lot of knowledge. All my knowledge here is I don't like Buffalo and I don't trust Buffalo. And Columbus just came in here, and I know that Columbus loses weird games. I know that they blow leads all the time. I don't know. It's either Columbus money line for me or it's nothing. What I will say, my last point, Buffalo's last 5 wins. Vegas, the Coyotes, Boston, Rangers, Pittsburgh. They also beat earlier in the year, they beat the Wild. They beat the Leafs. They beat Colorado. They beat Philadelphia. What's my point, Mark? What are you saying? They only beat good teams. They cannot beat bad teams. It's a fact. Go look through their schedule. They lose to bad teams and they beat good teams. And Columbus is a bad team. So I'm picking Columbus. Andre, what are you thinking?
These are for me at least, the pinnacle of teams that can just, you never know what to expect. You never know which team is going to show up.
Sure.
They can beat anyone. They can lose to anyone. They can win 1-0. They can win 8-7.
Right.
With all of that being said, I have no idea what's going to happen. So 60-minute line, a draw is plus 390. Even further than that, just because who cares? Correct score of 5-5 in regulation, so it goes to overtime, tied at 5, plus 3,500. I think I'm going to use my free bet on that tonight.
That's
because
genius.
Why not?
Genius.
I just
that
feel
would
like
be the overtime score, by the way. 5-5 would be the score if it went to overtime.
Yep, exactly. I expect wackiness out of this game. I expect it to just be ridiculous. And I'm leaning Columbus, mostly because of the value. But who knows? The Jackets randomly just go to Toronto and beat the Leafs, who are riding high. The Sabres just randomly go to the city and beat the Rangers. Like, it happens. It's life.
Well, and the Columbus, like you mentioned, the game against the Leafs, so did I. That game, so I was listening to the Columbus Blue Jackets radio network for that game for some reason. I don't really know why. I can't remember why, because I love the Leafs broadcast, by the way. If you have Sirius XM, listen to the Leafs broadcasters. Those guys are absolute legends. Anyway, they were basically saying that game was the whole season for Columbus. Like you're winning 5-0 and then it's tied 5-5 in like 5 minutes. Like that's basically the whole season. I'm with you. John, what do you think, man? I love that bet, by the way. Tied 5-5 going into overtime. That's hilarious. John, what do you got, bro?
This game just makes me want to barf with like A, the quality of the teams, and B, what I'm being presented here. I think my logic earlier in this episode should dictate to go with Buffalo, considering I took Carolina for similar reasons. This feels like another line where Vegas seems strangely confident that Buffalo is going to win this game easily. And maybe I'm missing something here. I just don't see why. I mean, like, I know Columbus is one of the worst teams in the league, and they're like next to last in goals allowed, but like, what has Buffalo done this year to be minus 185 what has Buffalo done to be minus 185 over anybody, over us for that matter? I mean, I don't know what to do here. Like the value's definitely with Columbus, and that the money line is a little shaky. Like it's a little higher than I thought it would be. Like it's plus 130. So I'm not overly confident in this, like at all. I, man, I almost I feel like I should be saying Vegas Buffalo puck line because of what I said with Carolina. This feels like a sportsbook trap a little bit, but I don't trust this team nearly as much. I at least have a little bit of trust in Carolina. With Buffalo and with Columbus for that matter, I don't trust either one of these teams. I think would be if any game on the slate I would tell people to stay away from, this would be it. If I have to pick a side, this would be like the lowest confidence play of what I'm gonna say today on this show. Buffalo puck line for similar reasons as Carolina. I think the sports books are trying to tell us something. I'm just not nearly as confident about it.
I do think the stay away option is not a bad option. However, if you want to be cool like me and Andre, it's Columbus all day long. it's all day long. Yeah, this game's like typically when there's 11 games on or 10 games on or whatever, I have one game on the TV and I have like 2 different games going separately. When those games go to the intermission, I like roll on to the next games, and it's actually quite scientific, like staggering all these games and getting it all to watch all these hockey games. I promise you that this game will never be on any of my screens. And so tomorrow when we're on the show, if I tell you my takeaway is Columbus, just know that I'm regurgitating something someone else said because I did not watch that game. I'm just going to be super blunt. All right. Your arch rivals, Long Island, the New York Islanders are hosting the Edmonton Oilers. Plus 130 dogs at home are the Islanders. Plus 1.5 is minus 192 on the puck line. Oilers minus 155 favorites. Plus 160 on the minus 1.5 puck line. Over is 6.5, and the over is minus 142. John, what do you see in this game?
Well, Friday night, I felt like the Islanders were due to cool down when they played the Bruins, and credit to them, they gave the Bruins a much bigger fight than I anticipated. But nevertheless, the Islanders finally have started to lose some games. They've lost their last 2 games or so now because Friday night they had a tough shootout loss to Boston. They lost to Montreal over the weekend as well. My point being, I feel like this is the start of a downtrend for the Islanders. I felt like they were playing above what they really are, like in this 2-week or 3-week stretch before Friday night anyway. I think it's time for the Islanders to come back down to earth a little bit. And I still have confidence in this Edmonton team. I feel like their star power and their scoring potential, there's just simply more upside there with Edmonton averaging 3.43 goals a game, Islanders averaging 3.1. Although they're still scoring in these losses, I will give them this. I could definitely see why the over is what it is. With that in mind, I might stay away from that. I'm strangely tempted to recommend an Oilers puck line. It's like plus 160 on DraftKings. I still feel like the Islanders are about to start a downfall a little bit, a little losing streak. I did feel like they were playing above what they really were during their winning streak. And I think a team like Edmonton is going to expose them a little bit in terms of firepower. So I'm very tempted to back an Edmonton puck line tonight.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens with regards to the Oilers because the Oilers, we all know the season that they had for the first couple months of the year, and they came back, fired the coach. They went on an absolute heater. They've lost 2 in a row, and not pretty losses either. So I'm really curious to see what happens tonight. right? Do they bounce back? Do they right the ship quickly? They're all of a sudden below 500 now again. They're 13, 14, and 1. So I'm curious to see from them kind of the pushback. So oddly enough, this is actually more of a stay away than the last game was, than the Columbus game was. I don't really know, to be honest. I want to say that the Oilers will come back, bounce back. They had that game against Florida the other day was ugly. Could not get a save to save their lives. And I'm like you're right, John. Like New York's been scoring goals lately, and I don't really trust the goaltending. I don't trust the defense. I like the over, but I don't know, minus 142 is a little bit rich. Over 7.5 might be worth a look. The only bet that I'm super confident in, strangely enough, is Hyman has 18 goals this year, and for him to score is plus 130. Edmonton has the fourth best power play, and the Islanders have the seventh best power play, and both of these penalty kills are in the bottom of the league, and the Islanders penalty kills at the very bottom of the league. So power play props, I would absolutely recommend looking at those. Other than that, I don't really like either side in this game. Andre, what say you, man?
I'm favoring Edmonton simply because the Islanders in their past 10 games they've been winning, but they've been giving up goals, like a lot of goals, almost. I think it's just under 4 per game if I did the math right, and that's not going to fly against Edmonton. Plain and simple. I know they only scored 1 goal last game, but that snapped a 15-game streak where the Oilers had at least 3. In most of those games, they had 4+. The Islanders have an active streak with at least 3. I think it's at 10 games right now. They're scoring 4 in most of those games. But if they're going to give up 5 or 6, they're not going to win. I see Edmonton easily able to put up 5 or 6 with the way the Islanders are playing lately. So, maybe not the puck line per se, but Oilers 60-minute line minus 105. Just expect them to outscore them in regulation. And the over, I know the 6.5 is minus 142. I'm not afraid at all to bump that up to 7.5 at plus 150.
Love it.
I can see this game having 8 goals easily. I can see this being like a 5-3 type of game.
Plus 150, you said?
Yeah, for over 7.5.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Next game, something we've been talking about a lot over the last week or so. Vancouver on the road in Nashville. Nashville's minus 125. Vancouver's plus 105. On the puck line, minus 1.5. Nashville is plus 200. Vancouver minus 245 for plus 1.5. The over is 6.5. Minus 120 for that. Plus 100 for the under. So at first I was like, yo, why is this Vancouver? I know they're on the road. Pardon me. But why are they dogs here? But yo, Nashville's 13-3 their last 16 games. Like, Nashville's not messing around. I like Vancouver in this game. I've watched almost every Vancouver game this year. I really, really like Vancouver. If you've been watching this show for 5 minutes, you know that I love Vancouver. Love them. They're awesome. But not a super confident money line sprinkle. I think Nashville has been feisty. I think they've been playing teams really close. I think they've been playing really hard. And I can absolutely see them pulling this game out. However, I just think Vancouver just has too much firepower. I really like the fact that they have the sixth best power play, and the 23rd ranked penalty kill belongs to Nashville. For power play points, Miller has 20 power play points plus 114. Pedersen has 16 power play points plus 110. And Hughes, of course, Quinn Hughes has 16 power play points plus 145. On the Nashville side, Forsberg has 117 shots. Over 3.5 shots for him is plus 105. Riley has 13 goals on the year. O'Reilly, that is, plus 240 for him to score tonight. And I like that as well. I'm leaning Vancouver, but I'm not as sold as I normally am on the Canucks. John, what about you?
Very similar feelings here. I think this is one of the tougher Vancouver lines I've run into in a while. This feels like the something's gotta give game because I think these two teams have red hot streaks for different reasons heading into this game. Nashville, you touched on, they're 13-3 in the last 16 games. Record wise, I would argue they're the hottest team in the league in this stretch, and they're at home tonight. So I can understand why they're favorites here. With that said, I think my unofficial rule since we've come on this show is whenever I see Vancouver positive money, I have to jump on it. And I've said last week, Vancouver's been the most profitable team in the NHL to bet on this year. I know they lost this weekend against Minnesota, but I think for the most part, it has helped us more than it hurt us to take Vancouver in these spots. Vancouver leads the league in goals per game and is second in the NHL in goals allowed per game. Nashville has had a great streak, but I think when it comes down to it, Vancouver, I just think is more real than Nashville. I'm not completely sold on Nashville yet, despite their hot streak. But I think there's still lingering doubt in the NHL world in general if Vancouver is real. And I think at the very least, Mark and I are on this bandwagon that yes, Vancouver is very real and they're here to stay. So I think as long as they have positive money, I have to take it. But I will say it was a very tough call. Like this was not as obvious as it usually is with Vancouver.
Just real quick before you go, Andre, that game you're referring to on Saturday where they lost in overtime to Minnesota, that game actually showed me a lot because they weren't very good in that game and they got out there with a point. And that's what good teams do. You know what I mean? So that game actually spoke to me more than maybe other people. Andre, what about you, bro?
I think this has potential to be the game of the night, honestly.
I agree.
Both teams are playing phenomenally. But both teams have one weakness, more so than every other area of their game, and it's the PK. And when you look at the power plays, Vancouver is more reliable, and Vancouver has the big dogs that can go out there and get you a point, especially when you need it. I know they're on the road. I know the Predators don't die these days. They're playing so well. But I like Vancouver here. Plus 105 is great value for this team.
I think we got a clean sweep.
Yeah, 100%. I think I told you guys before, I heard somebody call Nashville the cockroaches of the NHL, and I've never been able to forget that. They're always like Boomer on the point on NHL Network Radio. He always calls Nashville the cockroaches of the NHL, and it's true, like you said, man. They just never die. They never go away. Yeah. All right. The next game, this game, it's there. There's some intriguing storylines here. I think whenever Bedard faces another superstar like McKinnon, that's always going to be a talking point. Colorado is in Chicago. Chicago is plus 185 dogs, which actually kind of surprised me that it was only plus 185. I think the fact that they're at home probably has something to do with it. Colorado minus 225. On the puck line, -1.5 for Colorado is only +105, where +1.5 for Chicago is -125. The over is 6.5 +102, and the under is a -122. Andre, what are you seeing in this one?
You got to take the Avalanche -1.5. They're just flat out better. Chicago's lost 4 in a row. 2 of those games, they only scored 1 goal. Before that losing streak, they had 2 wins, but it was against the Blues team that was about to fire their coach, and the Ducks, and that was a 1-0 win. So it's really just great goaltending. Before that, another 4-game streak, 3 games where they only scored 1 goal. If you're only going to score 1 goal against Colorado, you're not going to be competitive. It's really that simple to me. So Colorado puck line all the way. I think you just have to take the under, just not trusting Chicago's offense more than anything. But yeah, definitely Colorado. And I will have you know, they scored first again on Sunday. The Blackhawks did score first against
Did they?
Yes, they did. They're back on.
They're back.
It's
They're
back,
back.
baby. It's back, baby. I love that. Yeah, I agree with you. The only thing that makes me want to take the over at plus money, and I'm not super confident with this, like hence the tone in my voice. But Chicago, the last 4 games, they have given up 19 goals in the last 4 games. Colorado, the last 3 wins that Colorado has had, they have 17 goals. In the last 3 losses Colorado has, they have given up 15 goals, which might be a weird nerd stat, but to me, either way, if Colorado wins, I feel like they're going to win like 6-1. And if they lose, I feel like they're going to lose like 5-3 or like 5-4 or like, and I'm with you. Like Chicago does not score 5 goals, but just recently when Colorado's been losing, they've been losing. Like they've been giving up a lot. So I'm a little bit with the over. However, I feel more comfortable. And I know it's a lot of goals, and I know it's a long shot. Colorado over 4.5 goals plus 165. And that's like 5 goals. That's a lot of goals. But I don't hate it. Other than that, there are like Colorado prop lines are always just a mess. Like the over under for McKinnon shots is like 25.5. Like it's just always just insane. But that's probably my favorite play.
Nice.
Favorite play. It's been a long day. -1.5 Colorado or over 4.5 Colorado goals at plus 165. John, what say you, man?
I'm just going to keep this one short. I can't make a great case for Chicago here. I feel like it's Bedard, and then that's pretty much it. Reminds me a lot of the Spurs in the NBA, actually, where they have like one hyped up young phenom, and then what they have after that. Chicago's bottom 3 in the league in goals per game and goals allowed per game. Very hard for me to make a case for them here. I'll take the Colorado puck line.
I have been waiting to talk about this game all day. You guys are not in Canada, but I'm sure you're not surprised. This is like Ottawa is a hot topic right now up here. I want to tell you a little story, and I know after this, we got one more game. We're running on an hour 15, but I wanted to tell you quick little story. So Jacques Martin is the head coach now, at least for now, for the Ottawa Senators. Now I'm 34 years old. back when I was 14 years old, it was grade 9, and the Leafs were playing Ottawa in the playoffs, whatever year that was, 2003, 4, whatever like year that was. And the last class of the day was gym class. And my buddy and I were on the treadmills, and my buddy has his treadmill up to like max speed, and I'm being an absolute goofball, and I jump off my treadmill and I land on his, and I wanted to grab the like two sides and just start running on the already running treadmill. Well, I slipped, landed right on my face. The treadmill took off like half my face, and my tooth went through my lip, and I got stitches, and it was wild. That night, I watched the last time that Jacques Martin and Daniel Alfredson were on the same bench playing for the Ottawa Senators. 2003 or 4 was the last time, and Jacques Martin, at 71 years old, he's back. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh yeah, he used to coach Ottawa. And then I'm looking it up, and I'm like, yo, this guy coached Ottawa like 20 years ago. Like, this guy's still going? Unbelievable. Well, that's just a little picture for you. The last time this guy was on a bench for Ottawa, I was like a nerd in high school. Not a nerd because I didn't graduate, but that's a whole another point. I understand that Ottawa has a new coach. One thing I found out today was before they fired DJ Smith, which, by the way, it was just time. Like we said yesterday, John, you never want to see a guy get fired, but I think this was like a mercy firing more than anything. Like they didn't want to do this, but they had to. But I found out he ran practice yesterday in Arizona, and then they fired him. So it's a new coach, but the last practice they had was with the coach that got fired. I think in time, Jacques Martin is known for his defense. And I think in a week or two, we'll be able to see the defense for Ottawa tightening up. I do not think that is tonight. Arizona plus money, I'm all over it. I've been watching Ottawa. They're a mess. You have a new coach. For tonight, it doesn't matter. I think it will matter. But you fire your coach in the middle of a road trip after practice. Like, I just think this is Arizona all day. One thing I will say here real quick is Keller has 10 goals on the year, plus 175. Keller has 91 shots on the year. On FanDuel, over 2.5 is minus money. DraftKings. But if you go to FanDuel, you can find better odds on the shot props. Ottawa has an awful penalty kill. Smoltz, 10 power play points on the year, plus 165. Also, Arizona, over 3.5 goals scored, plus 130. Ottawa has given up 16 goals in the last 4 games, and I don't see that changing tonight. Thank you for listening. John, what do you think about this game?
First off, heck of a TED Talk there.
Thank you.
I have to admit, I think Mark may have flipped my pick here. Like, going into today's episode, I think I was ready to jump on Ottawa with the infamous dead cat bounce that they were about to have. But then I think Mark made me start to doubt it when he had his monologue there. Because I thought about this as he was going into it, and I'm like, Ottawa's minus 125, and they're one of the worst teams in the NHL. They don't really have business being favorites, even with this dead cat bounce. The thing
Especially
is,
on the road, right? Too
exactly. The thing is, like, I swear this has been a consistent pattern in the NHL this year. St. Louis gets a win right after they fire their coach. Edmonton, same thing. I think Minnesota did too. I'm pretty sure. So it feels like teams almost automatically win right after they fire a coach, which is why I was ready to jump on Ottawa in this game. But then I'm thinking to myself, and I may be admittedly overthinking this, but given the detail Mark just shared to me about literally firing a coach after running a practice before the game, that doesn't sit right with me. And I feel like this streak of coaches getting fired leading to wins has to end at some point, right? Like, I think the point being, Mark may have just flipped my pick live. I'll go with Arizona.
Wow.
Just really quickly, I know I just talked for half an hour, but John, I flipped you yesterday too,
I
and
know.
that didn't work
I'm
out
scared.
well. So,
Yeah,
so
you're
think
due.
about it.
I think you're
Yeah.
due.
Yeah, think about it for an hour before you place your bets, because yesterday that didn't work out. What about you, Andre? What you got, bro?
And here, I thought I was going to be the only guy here fading the fired coach turnaround. But I'm all over Arizona too. They've won 6 of their past 7 at home. Only in 2 of those games did they give up multiple goals, and one of those was a win over the Avalanche. 2 straight shutouts, shutout in 3 of their last 4 home games. They're just playing well at home right now. We like to joke about the Tempe Yotes, but it's working out for them. So
Yeah,
I'm going to keep it rolling. Give me Arizona plus 105. Give me the under. That's where I'm feeling for this game. Until they stop defending well at home, it's good money.
I bet you, and like you said, man, I know that we rag on it, and it is like, in the grand scheme of things, it's embarrassing for the NHL that you have them playing at a university campus. Like I actually do believe that, but I bet you a 5,000 seat stadium, absolutely jacked up. I bet you it's a great time. Like I bet you it's a party.
I can't see Coyotes fans being too wild though.
I think they have a student section for Arizona State kids, though. So,
okay, maybe that I can
I
see.
think they do. I think they have like
Yes.
a section of seats that they give away.
Oh, dude, yeah,
awesome.
I think they're partying there, man. If a 5,000 seat stadium for the Arizona Coyotes is sold out, those are the only 5,000 people in Phoenix who actually care about it, and I think they're partying. I think they're going for it.
You might be right on that one.
The last game of the night, it's our boys, the San Jose Sharks. They're home to the LA Kings. The line has changed since I put this up. Money is coming in on the Sharks. It's plus 210 now for the Sharks. It was plus 220 about an hour and a half ago. It is now plus 210, minus 258 for the Kings. The over is 6 at minus 130 for the over. Plus 110 for under 6. Plus 1.5 is minus 115. Minus 1.5 for the Kings is minus 105. I'll keep this short and sweet. I got no props for this game. I got nothing for this game except for 6 of the last 7 games for the San Jose Sharks have been 1-score games. You're giving me plus 1.5 at minus 115. I love it. I would love to take the Sharks plus 210 just to win outright. However, it's the Kings. It's a good hockey team. I don't mind hedging it a little bit. Give me minus 115 at Sharks plus 1.5. I love it. I think it's great. There's no chance that loses. None. Or is there a chance, John? What do you think?
I'm gonna cop out a little bit there because I'm staying away from the puck line. I was very torn on that going in. I do think there's a compelling case to take the Sharks puck line, though. I definitely see the argument. But there's a bet I like better in this game, and that's the under. The under, it really depends on what sportsbook you're looking at. The ones that have the over-under at 6.5, I've seen that at about minus 140 for the under. But if you go lower and go to over-under being 6, the under 6 is about plus 110, and I really like that value here. The Sharks, in my opinion, are a team that come out flat against a team that has solid goaltending here. And the Kings are basically about this is like the biggest goal differential game there is in terms of goals allowed per game, I think. Like the Kings are the best goaltending team in the league. The Sharks are the worst. Sharks also can't score to save their lives in most games. I just feel like this is gonna be one of those low scoring losses for the Sharks. I just don't know if it's gonna be like 3-2 or 4-2. So I think I'm staying away from the puck line. Actually, no, sorry. I meant to say like 3-1 or 3-2 because I like the under here. Let me make that clear. I think the under is a great play here. It's my favorite in this game. I do see the argument for a Sharks puck line. No, I think that's just too tight of a call for me to make a recommendation.
Andre, are you man enough to take the puck line with me, or are you going to hang out with John over there?
You see, I want to because I think it's going to hit, but every time I've taken the Sharks puck line this season, they've given up an empty netter to blow it.
Oh, so, that's real. That's haunted.
He's been hurt. He's been hurt.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
I can't do it again. But I will say I love the under 6 at plus 110.
Yeah, I agree.
The Sharks are feisty at home. They're a 500 team at home.
This just feels like a low-scoring game written all over it.
Yeah, you take away the 2 home games where they gave up 10 goals. They've given up 30 goals at home in 12 games, which is, if my math is correct, 2.5 per game. That's really good. So the Sharks are feisty in the tank, as always. The Kings allow the fewest goals per game, going up against the low-scoring offense in the game. I see a game it's like 2-1, 3-1, maybe 2-0, something like that. I see a low-scoring game, so I'm all over the under 6 here. I want to take my boys to plus 1.5, but I'm not going to get burnt again. So I'm just going to stay away from that.
We got to save the spots there. We can't go back to it too often.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem with this game is that it's on at 10:37 p.m. So all of you degenerate gamblers out there, do not chase your losses with a San Jose money line. If you're gonna bet it now, because you're gonna be like 5 beers deep at like 10:25, and you're just gonna be like, "There's no way this loses." Make your San Jose bet now.
Yeah.
Don't wait until 10:27. All right, moving on. Finish up the show with our best bets, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Like I said at the beginning of the show, First Round has a sale on thousands of sports cards. We're talking hockey, football, basketball, baseball, everything. I think they even have wrestling cards, which I didn't even know that was a thing, but it is a thing, and they have it up to 50% off of thousands of cards. Enter the code at checkout, Sports Addict, for an extra 10% off. If it's 20%, you get it for 30, 40, 50, 60. Enter the code Sports Addict. FirstRoundCollectibles.com, the number 1 STRoundCollectibles.com. John, what is your best bet, my friend?
We got so much to choose from. Despite talking for almost
it's a buffet. It's a buffet for sure.
Despite talking for almost an hour and a half on this, I'm gonna have some recency bias and go back to the very last game we did. Sharks Kings. I'm feeling that under hard. Under 6 at plus 110. Love it. Give me that as my best bet.
Love it. What about you, Andre?
I'm gonna go to the first game in McDavid's holiday vacation, or whatever ESPN has been calling it.
I forgot they're doing that.
I forgot about that.
This is game 1 of the
vacation. That's so funny. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. The New York Metro trip starts with this one. Blue and orange teams. I see a lot of goals. Give me the over 7.5 at plus 150.
I've been all over the place with this. There's so many bets that I like tonight. I think I'm just going to keep it simple. So wait, so you took the under in the Kings game, John? And you took the over in the Oilers game just now?
Yeah, the alternate.
The alternate over? I'm taking it over too. It's all over or under on the best bets. I'm picking over 6.5 for the Leafs game. I'm just going to double check the odds here. So over 6.5, Rangers at Toronto -112. I wish those odds were a little bit different, but I just think both these teams score. Both these teams have been letting goals in. I just think over 6.5 is a lock. So there you have it. Our best bets of the evening. Do you have... Let's see if I can get this in real quick here.
Are you looking for the odds?
Yeah.
Well, the alternate total on a Long Island went up to +155, so the parlay is now at +913.
Ooh!
Those go together.
Get some money in the Christmas stocking there.
There you go.
Honestly, that to me seems like a very hittable parlay. Like, it doesn't feel like a +9. I'm not just saying that. Like, I actually, it doesn't feel like a +9 whatever. Like, I think that's yeah, awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining me, John and Andre. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Good luck on your bets. Hit that parlay. Like and subscribe on YouTube, Sports Addict Live. Find us on Twitter, all that good stuff. We will see you tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. We will see you then.
What you used to.